To learn to live the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Click the bell notification. It's all free. So the other day I showed you that we vacuum sealed a bunch of different things, such as flour and rice and oats and sugar. So we've let it sit for a couple days. That way, if one of them didn't seal like this one here and this one, we can reseal them. They give them time to kind of air out and equalize. Now I'm gonna put them in this gray tub here. We'll get them out into the well house. But there's over 100 pounds of food in this little box here, all vacuum sealed up. So I can't transfer them all up here on the porch. Otherwise my gray tub gets too heavy. I wouldn't be able to get it out to the well house. Which brings me to the video that I want to talk about today. We have been going out shopping quite a bit here in the last few days. That's not really our typical style. We don't go shopping, and usually we'll go shopping once every month and a half, buy everything we need, and that's it. But we're starting to see that things are coming to a head with the grocery stores. So I guess 2-3 weeks ago we went grocery shopping and we spent over like $200 in foods, which was kind of up from the price that we had paid the month before. It was $170 for our month and a half of food. It used to be we could always come in right around $100, so prices are going up. But we did not see any shortages at Save-A-Lot, which is kind of a discount store here in the area. A little bit fancier than Aldi's, I would say. They still have boxes that you can pack into. They got a shelf that you have to do your own bagging. Of course, they do provide free bags. Aldi's, you got to buy your own bag. I wasn't really concerned about any of the shortages that I keep seeing on the Facebook groups and people sending me emails and people messaging me, all these shortages that we're seeing. So I didn't see that. Well, the other day I saw a video and he was suggesting that there was a lot of shortages also. Carolyn and I decided, well, maybe we should go into town and buy some rice. So we went to the bigger of the two towns that we live close by. They're actually the same distance apart, but completely in different directions. So we went to the bigger town. Let's call that town A. Walmart, it was Sunday, was fairly well stocked. Now the thing is, they pulled all the things up to the front, but you could still buy it. Behind whatever it is, it was coffee or whatever, it was bare. But in the front, the shelf appeared to be full, and you could still buy things. We got to the rice section, and we had to buy the more expensive rice because the cheaper rice was empty. Now we live in a kind of a touristy area. We don't live right smack dab in the middle of it. We kind of live on the outskirts of it, but the tourists in the area during the summer months will flock to the Walmart stores and buy everything up. The Facebook groups for these areas are saying, well, they're still here. They haven't left. And so what we've noticed is a lot of people who have summer homes in this area are moving into their summer homes because they are worried about what's going to happen in the city homes that they have, hoping to hide a little bit from whatever thing is going to happen. Now, I'm not a fear monger. I don't want to be a fear monger. I don't want to be a hypocrite. So I don't try to dive into possible things that could happen, conspiracy theories or anything. I like to stick with the facts, things that are actually on the ground, things we can see with our eyes. This is what's happening. This is the news of the day. And I feel like, without being a hypocrite, that when I talk about current events, that I'm not being a hypocrite. I even asked in a poll question, do you want me to start covering current events and how it applies to off-grid living? Overwhelmingly, folks said yes, just don't fearmonger. So I'm trying not to fearmonger. If I happen to cause you a little fear, I apologize, not what I want to do. So we came home and Carolyn felt very comfortable with the way things had looked at Walmart. Well, then a few days later, we decided we needed to go to the other town. We'll call that town B, which is a smaller town. Not a lot smaller, but the Walmart is obviously not, although they're both called a super center, it's not laid out like a real super center Walmart. It's like they converted it from one that they made years ago. And it did show a little bit of bare shelves. Now we went to go get chicken food. There was plenty of chicken food. Prices were pretty stable with the chicken food. We're not seeing huge increases. If it did go up, it may have went up 25, 50 cents, but not anything that's undesirable. So we got, I think, 3 months of chicken food stockpiled now. Over at the Walmart, to kind of give you a comparison, the bigger city A, Walmart, had canning jars. We bought 3 trays of pint jars. We should have just bought everything there was there. I think there would have been a total of 8 that we could have bought, but Carolyn doesn't like to take things in case somebody else needs it, and I understand that. And there's a lot of people in my community that believe the same thing. Don't take the last one. Well, then when we went to Town B and we looked at canning jars because we wanted to get wide mouth rings, they didn't have any. They had the little half pint ones for decorations and gifts. You can can these little half pints of apple butter or something. You can send it out for a gift. They did have those, but they didn't have pints and quarts at all. They were completely empty, and they didn't have the rings that we were looking for. I have a theory as to what's going on. Walmart is looking at which stores are the most profitable. So they're looking at Town A as a more profitable Walmart. That way, if something really does happen, they can take all their supplies away from Town B and take it over to Town A. That would force everybody over to Town A to buy things from there. That way they would reduce the amount of labor they have to hire. It'd all be in one store. If you have one store, that's less cost, less electricity, less of everything. That way they can still stay in business, still sell things, even though the supply chain looks like it's going to slow down, which we already see that. We've talked about that. As a matter of fact, I made a video just the other day, and I'll put a link at that video at the end of the video here or in the description below, but I would appreciate it if you'd stick around for this video. When we went to the Town B, we went ahead and bought more rice, flour, and sugar. And like I showed you, we bagged all that up and then we vacuum sealed it. The flour and the sugar will probably last us years. And I say years, 2 or 3 years at least. The rice, we eat rice quite regularly, I would think, because we have all this canned food. We got canned chicken, canned pork. You can make a lot of Chinese foods with these canned items. So rice and canned pork, rice and canned chicken, a little soy sauce, maybe throw a vegetable on it, and you got a meal. And those meals last a long time. They're very filling. The rice won't last quite as long, but I think ended up getting 60 pounds of rice is what we ended up with. And we vacuum sealed a lot of those in the jars, and then we started vacuum sealing in the bags. So the other day, the president came out and said, it's kind of an illusion. A lot of these things they're not bringing out onto the shelves because they don't want you hoard buying and all that. So essentially they want you to buy 1 can of coffee. Yeah, the ships are stuck out there at the sea, but we're okay because they just want you to buy 1 can of coffee. They still got more in the back. Well, I really don't think that's true. I think that there's nothing in the back. And the reason is because you're seeing things like they got Campbell's soup, but they don't have the off-brand, the store brand, whatever that is. You have to buy the more expensive soup. Well, that actually makes sense if you think about it. Campbell's soup is going to have the power to buy the ingredients they need to make their soup, whereas the off-brand companies, they're not going to have the buying power. So if you're wanting to sell your ingredients, you're going to sell it to Campbell because they got the buying power. They can buy large quantities. That way you don't have to have shipped this stuff all over the country. You take it to one place, just like what I think Walmart is doing. Walmart's slowing down the Town B and stockpiling Town A. It's all a business strategy. I ran businesses. This would make sense. As a matter of fact, I worked for a company that had 2 facilities. And the primary goal is to have 1 facility. We take all our employees to 1 facility. That way we can reduce on the amount of managers we needed. Instead of 2 production managers, we only need 1 production manager. You're reducing the amount you got to spend to produce the same amount of product. So it all makes sense. Send your ingredients to Campbell, not the off-brands. The other thing I saw is just yesterday we went to Dollar General. Dollar General is not that far from here. And every aisle we walked down had tons of things empty, just tons. I couldn't even tell you what all was empty. Pet foods, food, coffee, bottled water, toilet paper, medical stuff, first aid stuff. They were out of simple stuff. I went in there to get garlic pills because I like garlic pills, and they only had 4 bottles left. all their vitamin section was basically empty except for 4 bottles of garlic. So I grabbed all 4. I know I'm not supposed to take all 4 because that worries Carolyn a lot, but I gotta have garlic. I just gotta have it, my sinus infections. The thing is when I do go buy garlic, that's what I usually buy is 4 bottles. So it's not like I was buying to hoard. I wanted to get some allergy medicine also. I take the off-brand Allegra from Dollar General. Well, they didn't have any off-brand. They had Allegra brand, that's it. And they didn't have that much. So again, what we're seeing is the name brands have the buying power. The off-brands don't. So now we're talking about inflation. Not only we're talking about inflation, they're inflating the name brand products. As we were walking through the store, the only thing that they had completely full was the Halloween candy. Even ice cream. It's starting to get chilly in this area, and the ice cream was pretty bare minimum. So we walked around over to the bread aisle to see if we could get some loaf of bread. And there was a guy who's shelving. You know, he was pulling all the stuff up to the front of the shelf. And I said, there is no way you're going to make that shelf look full. He says, I know. We can't get a truck in here. And I said, well, I don't think anybody can get a truck in here. He says, yeah, that's what I'm hearing too. There was 3 employees in the store, and I said, why you got 3 employees? Because he said, because typically this is when the truck's supposed to come in, so they already scheduled the employees to come in, and I guess their boss didn't want to send them home, which is kind of nice that they got a job to do. So they're over there stocking shelves with no product. They're just trying to make the shelves look more full. This just brings me to the conclusion that we got to start thinking about renewable foods like we're doing with the chickens. I made a video just the other day, and I'll put a link at that video at the end of the video here or in the description below. But I hope I can inspire you to start thinking about your food supply so you can live your dream. Thanks for watching.